I need to get something off my chest before it starts charging me rent. I treat my to-do list like it's a polite suggestion, not a legal document. Every morning, I open it with confidence, read the first 3 tasks, and immediately decide I deserve a warm-up scroll. 30 minutes later, I've learned how to make sourdough, raise goats, and emotionally support a houseplant, but I still haven't answered one email. My to-do list just sits there, blinking patiently, like a disappointed parent at a school play. And I keep telling it, relax, I'm thinking about it, which is adult code for I forgot. But somehow, right before the deadline hits, I turn into a productivity superhero. Coffee in one hand, panic in the other, suddenly I'm unstoppable. So yeah, I don't work on a schedule, I work on fear. And honestly, it's been a very effective manager. I'm always racing a clock that doesn't exist. If I pause a show to grab something, I move like I'm being timed. I don't know by who or for what. But suddenly, the snack run becomes a sprint. I grab chips, a drink, maybe a blanket. No detours. Every second counts. I run back to the couch like the cushions might vanish. I sit down, hit play, and immediately realize I missed everything anyway. So I rewind, pause, grab a drink I didn't need, rewind again. By the time I'm actually watching, the episode feels like a recap I made for myself. And somehow, I convince myself this counts as winning. Because if there's a timer, real or imagined, I am always in first place. I've never sent a text the first time I typed it. I type texts like I'm defusing a bomb. One wrong word and the whole thing could implode. I'll write a message, delete it, rewrite it, change one word, read it out loud, change it again, pause, reread it. I check every punctuation mark, like a tiny mistake could ruin the universe. I rewrite a sentence 5 times until it sounds casual but not desperate. I pace around the room, rereading it, imagining every possible reaction. At this point, I don't even remember what I was trying to say. Eventually, I close the app. I never send it. The text dies in my drafts, and somehow, I feel like I handled it perfectly. I don't forget things because I'm busy. I forget things because I walk through doors. Every once in a while, I enter a room, and my brain wipes itself like a whiteboard. I'll stand there, frozen, staring into space like I just spawned in. I know I came here for something. Important. Life-changing, probably. So I retrace my steps like a detective. I walk back out. Nothing. Walk back in. Still nothing. Now I'm pacing between rooms like I'm trying to unlock a memory achievement. At this point, I'm holding my phone, my keys, and absolutely no thoughts. I'll start doing a completely different task and convince myself that was the plan all along. Later, I'll remember what I needed while I'm sitting down, comfortable, emotionally settled, and I just accept it because I'm not getting up again. If you've ever pretended to work, this is about to expose you. I don't actually work faster when someone walks by. I just look faster. Suddenly my mouse is moving like it's late for something. I'm opening tabs, closing tabs, dragging files like they have clear goals and dreams. I scroll aggressively, like the screen owes me money. If they slow down behind me, oh, now I'm typing. Loud, confident, no hesitation. I'm nodding at my screen like we're in a meeting together. I'll even sigh, like I'm overwhelmed with responsibility. I have no idea what I'm doing, but the posture says, career. The second they leave, I stop. Undo everything. Because none of it was real. I wasn't working. I was performing productivity. Honestly, if pretending was paid, I'd finally be caught up. I rehearse fake conversations in my head like I'm preparing for court. Not arguments, casual conversations. Someone says, "Hey, how's it going?" And my brain's like, say something cool, say something normal. Do not say, "You too." And what do I say? "You too." I replay it later in the shower like it was a historical event. I think of better answers, stronger answers. Answers that will never be used because the moment is dead and so is my dignity. I imagine running into them again and casually fixing it, which somehow turns into me over-explaining for 7 minutes while they slowly back away. I lose sleep over conversations that lasted 4 seconds. At this point, my biggest fear isn't public speaking, it's speaking. If you've ever talked to me and thought, that was a weird response, just know, I've already apologized to myself about it 47 times.
I pretend I don't see people in public, so I don't have to decide if we know each other. Was that my coworker, my neighbor, someone I met once in 2017 who knows my dog's name? I immediately become legally blind. Suddenly I'm fascinated by my phone, the ceiling, the concept of walking. If they wave, I wave back like I've always known them. Confident, warm, presidential. If they don't wave, I tell myself, good, we both agreed. Sometimes we pass each other 3 times in the same store, and now it's a psychological thriller. I'll change aisles. I'll inspect pasta I don't eat. I'll leave early. Not because I don't like people, but because the risk of a, hey, you look familiar, is too high. If we ever made eye contact and both panicked, just know, I still don't know who you are, and I respect that. I keep buying houseplants like I'm a responsible adult with a routine. I give them names, I promise sunlight, I whisper things like, we're gonna thrive. And for 3 days, we do. Then I forget one tiny detail, water, or sunlight, or that plants are alive. Suddenly the leaves are crunchy, the soil looks offended, and the plant is doing that slow lean that says, I trusted you. I try to fix it by overcorrecting. Too much water, too much love, a dramatic relocation to the window. Now it's worse, and I'm Googling, is this normal? Like the plant might read it. I hold a quiet moment of silence, recycle the pot, and swear I'm done. Anyway, see you tomorrow, plant aisle. I'll be the one pretending this time is different. I once pulled on a door for way too long that very clearly said push. And not just a quick mistake either. I committed. I pulled gently at first, then harder, like the door, and I were negotiating terms. I even stepped back and tried again, just in case it needed space to think about opening. People started lining up behind me, and instead of reading the sign like a normal person, I doubled down. I shook the handle, checked the hinges, and briefly wondered if this building was permanently sealed. Then someone casually reached around me and pushed the door open like it was nothing. I walked through immediately, pretending I had tested it for everyone else, like this was a service I provided to society. I walked into the wrong car and committed to it. I sat down like I owned it. Same color, same model, parked exactly where I thought my car was. I closed the door, adjusted the seat, and for a solid 3 seconds thought, wow, my car feels different today. Then I noticed the smell, and the decorations, and the fact that none of this was mine. I slowly turned and made eye contact with the actual owner, who was frozen outside the car holding their keys like they'd just unlocked a crime scene. I panicked, apologized way too much, got out and walked away, pretending this was a normal thing that happens to people. My actual car was 3 rows over, watching the whole thing like it didn't know me anymore. I once waved back at someone who wasn't waving at me, and I didn't do a polite little wave either. I fully committed. Hand up, confident smile, eye contact, the whole thing. I even had that moment of pride like, wow, that was friendly of me. Then I realized they were waving at the person behind me. Instantly, my soul left my body. I had 2 choices, stop and accept the embarrassment or pretend this was intentional. I panicked and turned the wave into a stretch, like my arm had a very important appointment in the air. The person looked confused. The person behind me waved back properly, and I just stood there pretending my shoulder needed that exact stretch at that exact moment. I walked away, knowing I'd created a memory for 3 people, and not a single one of us asked for it. I once spent almost half an hour looking for my phone while using my phone as a flashlight. I wasn't casually searching either. I was fully locked in, checking under the couch, opening random drawers, lifting cushions like they were suspects in an investigation. At one point, I even shook out a blanket because it felt guilty. The flashlight was helping, which somehow made the whole thing feel productive and justified. Halfway through, I started muttering things like, it was just here, and accusing the room of hiding it from me. Then my screen went black because the battery died, and that's when it hit me. I'd been holding my phone the entire time. I just stood there in silence, staring at it, realizing it had watched me panic for 28 minutes without warning me once. I once pranked my roommate by putting a little piece of clear tape over the sensor on their TV remote. I thought it would be hilarious. They'd press buttons and nothing would happen, and I'd sit there laughing like a genius. For about 2 minutes, it was perfect. Then I realized I'd forgotten how much they actually relied on that remote. They were waving it around, pressing buttons frantically, and the TV just sat there, silently judging them. I tried to keep a straight face, but I was cracking up so badly I had to leave the room. Eventually, I confessed. They weren't mad, just slightly traumatized by their now rebellious electronics. I still think about that remote sometimes, plotting subtle revenge on me with every unresponsive press. I microwaved metal on purpose because I didn't believe the warning. Someone told me you're not supposed to microwave metal, and I honestly thought it was one of those rules people repeat without actually knowing why. So I put a spoon in the microwave and stood there watching it like a science experiment, fully expecting nothing to happen. For a few seconds I felt validated, and then the sparks started. Not tiny sparks either, full angry sparks, and the microwave started making sounds I've never heard before, like it was actively regretting its existence. I panicked, hit stop, opened the door, and pretended I was surprised even though this was entirely my idea. Nothing caught on fire, nothing exploded. But I never told anyone and just quietly Googled it later and learned that yes, you absolutely should not microwave metal, and the warning labels exist because people like me need them. A friend sold me some homemade cookies once. They just said, they're really good, so I didn't think anything of it. I brought them home and did the wholesome thing. I put them on a plate and shared them with my family. My mom had one. My dad had one. I had two, because obviously. About 30 minutes later, my dad started staring at the wall like it owed him money. My mom asked if the TV was breathing. That's when my phone buzzed. My friend texted, "Hey, did you eat the cookies yet?" I said yes. They replied, "All of them?" I realized two things at once. 1, those were not regular cookies. 2, I had accidentally turned family night into a drug experiment. We spent the evening eating pizza, watching nature documentaries, and agreeing to never speak of this again. I've never told anyone this, but I accidentally ate my roommate's entire bag of coffee beans. And I don't mean ground coffee, I mean the whole beans. I was stressed, okay? Thought I could just chew them like snacks to stay awake. Fast forward about 15 minutes. My mouth was buzzing like a blender, my stomach felt like it was throwing a rave, and then my roommate walks in. He looks at the empty bag and then at me, jittering like a human espresso machine. I just pointed at myself and said, I guess I needed them more. He hasn't forgiven me yet, but hey, I did stay awake for 3 days straight. So I just realized something pretty ridiculous. For an entire year, I've been complimenting the same coworker, thinking they were two different people. Every week, I'd see them and say, "Wow, great job on that project, you're killing it." Then I'd see the other one, at least I thought it was the other one, and I'd say the exact same thing. I really thought I was being thoughtful. Like, wow, two amazing people at work. Months go by, and someone casually goes, "Oh, did you tell Sarah you liked her work?" Sarah? Wait, there's only one of them, one coworker. So yeah, I basically spent a whole year harassing them with nonstop praise, without even knowing it.